Hey, what's going on, Better Self community? Back again with another podcast. We have our friend Portia Craig. Today, we're just going to talk about why she got into raw vegan, her healing, and just her journey in general. Portia, thanks for coming on.
Yes, of course. I'm so happy to be here.
Yeah, I know you've been amazing. So, through just different groups, I know we kind of hit it off, and then you joined the Better Self community, and you've been just an awesome contributor. We love having you. And yeah, I just kind of want to hear about your journey and what got you into raw vegan, and just go
Right.
from there.
So it all started when I was 17, so 10 years ago, and I was a college student. So I was living college life, very busy with extracurricular activities, and I wasn't really thinking about what I was putting into my body. I was just almost every night I was going to the fast food places on campus, getting like fries and like all this fried food. And I just, because I was so busy, I just really wasn't thinking about my health at the time until my junior year when all of a sudden I started to get these intense migraines at night. And I didn't know what the problem was. The migraines, they would keep me up all night. So I would be up all night and then have class the next day and just have so much brain fog and was so tired during the day.
Yeah.
And even coming home from college, like during the holidays, my family, they would fix me something to eat and like they would want to catch up with me with everything, but I was so tired and my stomach would hurt so bad that I would eat and then I would go in the chair and lay down or go in my room and lay down. I just felt
Yeah.
really sick.
Yeah, no, mine's kind of like a similar journey where it's like, I mean, the brain fog was so severe where it's like hard to be present with the people that you're with at that moment. And
Yes.
that's what makes it so hard because it's like that detrimental to the point where you feel like crap. And then, too, like it's affecting the people that are around you. And most of the time, it's the people that you care about the most.
Right, right. So it was really bad. And even like, so this went on for about a year. And it's sad because it was almost like I was normalizing it. Like I was like, oh, this is just how I'm supposed to feel. Like my
Right.
stomach would hurt so bad when I was at work. And I'm like, this is just how I'm supposed to feel. Like
Right.
I didn't know any other way, like to live basically. I just accept living in pain until on my birthday that next year, I was eating a peanut butter and jelly sandwich on the sofa, and
Man.
my stomach was still in so much pain. And I was like, you know what? That's it. I'm calling my doctor. Well, actually, I researched it on Google first, but then I closed that because you can't really rely on Google all the time.
No, yeah. It's like, hey,
So,
you're dying. Congrats. It's like, man.
yeah, it really does scare you.
Hmm.
So, I went to my doctor and she said, why don't you try? I explained her my symptoms, headache, brain fog. I was also very moody too, and just not
Yeah.
sure why.
You? I can't imagine, to be honest with you. You're so positive now.
Yeah, it's definitely a difference. But
Yeah.
so she said, why don't you cut out gluten from your diet and see how that works for you? And I was like, like I never thought about cutting anything from my diet because I was eating everything. So I cut out the gluten and literally within a day I felt a difference. An entire
Yeah,
I was like, I'm actually not, I don't have a headache today. My stomach doesn't hurt today. I was so happy.
for sure.
But I was still eating processed gluten
Hmm.
or gluten-free snacks.
For sure.
So I wasn't really like as healthy as I thought I was, despite the disappearance of some symptoms.
For sure. And I think that's kind of how we all like kind of get into it is we start to experience symptoms and then we get to the point where it's kind of like, well, I mean, this just sucks. I just got dealt like a pretty bad hand. You know what I mean? Like I have like IBS or whatever, brain fogs, migraines. But then you get to the point where you're like, I'm so sick of having it that
Mhm.
I'm going to find exactly why I'm having this problem. And that's when you start branching into different things like holistic health and wellness. And that's kind of how I got, sort of bodybuilding and things like that. And, I started breaking out like crazy. I mean, I was always inflamed. I always felt tired and terrible. And I was bigger, yeah, but it's like, it's a night and day. I would run circles around that guy, so same with you. It's like, I'm just glad that you didn't settle because you get to that point where you're like, well, this is just my life. Like, this is
Right.
just how it's going to be. So that's amazing. So who did you come across like in the raw vegan community that kind of helped kick it off?
Yeah, so okay, so my aunt, she started like a challenge about 2 years ago in May, and she challenged us to eat alkaline vegan inspired by
Okay.
Dr. Sebi. So that's how that started. And that went really well. I guess the only thing I wasn't too fond of was it was restricting even vegetables, like certain things you couldn't eat, like celery, pineapple. And I was just like, I
Yeah,
don't
it's a little
like
too hardcore.
yeah, I don't like all the restriction, but I still felt the amazing benefits. And that's when I first found out like how processed everything is. Like it's
Yeah,
best to make a lot of things from scratch at home. So that's where that got me started. And then the last week of that challenge, she sent out another group text and she was like, okay, for 7 days, we are going to go all raw vegan. And I was like,
you're
there's
like,
another
what?
level to this. Like, what?
Yeah,
I've never really heard of that. I was aware of it, but I didn't really know the benefits of it. So I went a week raw vegan and I felt, oh my gosh, amazing,
yeah.
amazing benefits.
It
So,
was,
mhm,
yeah. No, it's so spiritual because like the first time I did like a month and a half like raw vegan like in 2019, and since then I'm like mostly raw still, but it was like, especially coming from a bodybuilding diet, I was like, oh my god, the mental clarity, like the prayer, like the spirituality of it, it was like
mm,
night and day. You're like, why didn't I do this earlier? Why isn't this a known thing? But obviously, I mean, you know why it's not a known thing, you know.
right. Yeah.
So
It's
selling the treatment.
yeah. So I did that for a week and then I fell back and like eating the way that I would normally eat, but still remembering how I felt that week.
Right.
So, and I just, every time, like a year or two ago, like if I would like eat something that I knew I I could not put in my body or that I wasn't supposed to put in my body and I would feel the negative effects, I would always think, oh wow, I remember how I felt when I ate like this.
For
And kind
sure.
of like the turning point for me with raw vegan and like really pursuing like a high raw lifestyle was um, last summer actually. I was at a family gathering and my great aunt, she had cooked a lot of food for us and I felt guilty for not consuming the food because she worked so hard to make it. It was like fried chicken, all these fried foods.
For sure.
I ate it. I ate it. And I
You
just
did it.
yeah, and like
For
knowing
sure.
because I felt guilty. It's like that guilt. Oh, she spent so many hours preparing this.
100%.
Yeah. And so literally that next day I felt terrible. I could not sleep. I couldn't. I was like, I cannot do this again. I have to
Yeah.
stand my ground, but in a nice way, in a good way, just saying, no, I'm following this lifestyle and this is why, this is the benefits I'm seeing. So that kind of like kick started. Like ever since that time
Yeah.
I've been like fully raw, high raw slash
That's
fully.
awesome. So I tell my clients the same thing where it's like, look, you know, if you want to cheat, I mean, this isn't a diet, this is a lifestyle. And
Mm,
if you want to cheat and go eat whatever you want, go ahead and do it while you're on the diet because it's going to show you exactly like what you're putting in your body and how you were living your life,
right.
you know, versus just like for like a little instance again. So there's another thing is like, some of my closest best friends, and I didn't grow up with like a whole lot either. So some of my closest best friends, like urban communities and things like that, and it is like the fried chicken, it is like the butter, the seasonings, the things like that. And it's
Mm,
just unfortunate because it's like they don't really know. They eat for taste, but it's
mm,
I'm a paramedic too, but
yeah.
it's communities that have high blood pressure, diabetes, and you know just like really just comorbidity. You know what I mean? And it's super sad.
It is. It is. I feel like all we can really do is just live by example.
Yeah,
Um, People, they learn, they can come to at the time that they're supposed to on their journey. But I just feel like all we can do is just be that example towards them to help them and educate them in the nicest way. If they ask questions, oh, what are you eating? Or what is this lifestyle? Like tell them why and the benefits and they'll definitely see.
yeah. No, and that's the perfect way of doing it too because you know when you're kind of like starting this journey and you're feeling better, you're like, God, I want everyone to feel this way.
Right.
And then it's like hard not to push it on everybody and be like, no. And I found myself in that a lot. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
whether it be my parents or whatever, whether they're healthy or not, it's like there's always another step of like health, but it's like they have to come, they have to learn at their own rate and then come
Right.
to it at their own rate. It has to be their decision.
Right.
So it has to be, you're giving them the knowledge and the tools that they come to you, but not shoving it down their throat. And that's the hardest thing. And that's what you see with vegans too, where it's like, no, like, it's like, geez, like for a nice bunch of
Yeah.
people, you know what I mean? It's kind of hateful.
Sorry. My light turned off. Can you still see me right?
Yeah, 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 you're good.
Yeah, but it's and that's honestly I really like shoving it down like, oh, you shouldn't be living this way. You should like I feel like that can scare people off, honestly, from the
Yeah,
lifestyle. So just living by that example. I mean, some comments that I see, everybody's body is different too.
yeah,
Everybody's body is different. So I just think that we just have to nicely in a nice way. Like my brother, for example, he eats everything. This is an
yeah,
example of leading by example, everything. So he knows my lifestyle and what I consume. So one morning I was at home and he randomly grabs an orange for breakfast. I'm like, okay, this is odd. Like, he
yeah,
never
yeah,
grabs fruit for breakfast. Like, when did this start? So I feel like we're being that example without people realizing it.
for sure. And it's like a subconscious thing where it's like, I see Portia that's like,
Mhm.
feeling good and eating mostly fruit. Like maybe today I'll just reach for an orange or something. And it's the same thing with us. We didn't just jump into raw vegan. I mean, we were like, what the hell is that? How am I going to live off fruits and vegetables?
Right.
And that's the biggest difference is
Mhm.
I tell people the first 4 weeks you're subbing out in the morning, you're eating fruit for your first meal and drinking lemon water before it.
Mhm.
And then after that you're doing whatever the same in your lifestyle because what you change rapidly is very hard to keep, but what you change over time just
Mhm.
becomes like an implementation in your life and your identity. So it
Right.
makes it so much easier in the long run. It's kind of what we both did.
Right. Right. I feel like it's so easy to fall off the bandwagon if you start off too fast. You
For
start
sure.
way too fast, like step by step. And
That's
be happy for the small wins too. And never try to compare yourself to other people on their journeys or think, oh, they're further along or no, definitely not something that one should do.
Damn, you're packed with wisdom, huh?
Ah,
It's those
learning.
are two things. Yeah. I mean, everyone always compares themselves to others, obviously, on their
Yeah,
journey. But I mean, your journey is true to you, and your journey is meant for you. So, I mean, what you implement and at the times that you do it are all how it's supposed to be. But
right,
I think that's the most powerful part of it is like this journey. You may start out and be like, it's the physical ailments, but you realize that it's more than anything spiritual journey and like a mentally healing journey. So
exactly,
yeah.
exactly.
So what would you recommend? Like moving forward to somebody who's like, I'm feeling sick, I'm not feeling good all the time. I mean, what's one thing that like you would recommend just from your experience?
From my experience, I would recommend finding people around you and being a part, have an accountability partner.
Yeah,
Honestly, because we never want to be on this journey alone,
right.
especially if you know, oh, I'm dealing with this. I'm really struggling through this. You need to lean on other people to help you along your journey, and that's why I love the Better Self community
Thank
because
you.
I just feel like I'm always like I want to be held accountable and
Yeah,
and help people and make sure that I stay on track on my journey
yeah,
and start step by step, little by little as well. Like don't start off too fast. Don't start off too fast.
yeah. And just like, I mean, that's perfect advice right there. I could leave it with that, and someone has like, all the knowledge that they would need. But yeah, it's just be kind to yourself and just understand that it's gonna be uncomfortable, and that's like where all the growth lies. We know that, but it's not an easy test. I mean, you are really changing up your identity, your beliefs,
Hmm.
and you're transforming like entirely. It's not just a physical journey. So
Right.
I think it's amazing, and I'm so happy to have you in the Better Self community. We've been growing, we've been adding people, we've been continuing to like give value, and I've been putting out podcasts with awesome people like you, and I've just been loving it. So
Yeah, me too. Me
you
too. This is
Well,
awesome.
anything you want to leave with them? I know you got to get going and get back to teaching.
Yeah, so just take it slow and just know that this journey it's beautiful, and again, like you had mentioned, it's not easy, but in the end it's gonna totally be worth it. It's all a
For
matter
sure.
of just getting started and having people around you to motivate you as well to help getting you started.
That's it. That's exactly it. So, well said, Portia. I appreciate you coming on. I love doing this podcast, and we'll have to do another one too. And then just really, I mean, you know, the goal is just see how many people we can help. It's kind of like how you and your positivity is just being there for people. That's all.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited.
Yeah, I'm excited too. All right. Well, I hope you have a good rest of the day, Portia.
Thank you. You too.